Hello everybody, vanburman here, and welcome to another one of my podcasts. I virtually have no idea what number this is, but today I want to talk about game demos. And I remember when I was younger, it was a thing which I wanted, all the gaming magazines for, especially when I had my PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 as well. You'd go out and buy the magazine, and you'd get a disc with a load of demos on it, and you go out and play all the demos, and there'd be lots of games which you wouldn't like, and then there'd be quite a few games you were interested in. And maybe if you were lucky, you might be able to get one of them for Christmas, or or your birthday, or unless you had a friend like I did who had a Chips PlayStation, and you'd recommend a game, and he'd go out and get it, and you just play around his. I won't name names, but today is also to do about piracy as well. And as everyone knows, I am now actually a big PC gamer. And of course, on the PC, it's a lot easier there's more access to pirated games and media than there is on consoles. Which obviously for the simple reason is that it's easier to share files between. And of course easier to get the system to install the game and all that stuff. And of course, PC gaming is of course the most flippant as well. I mean, when you go out and buy a PlayStation 3 console, they never say, well, you're going to have to buy this upgrade if you want to play this game, increase your RAM or the graphics capacity or anything like that. So, that's why that's why there's such big differences between the two. And it is why I can understand that people would go out and buy a console, because, it is purely for gaming. And, you have sort of made it so it is purely for gaming, and it will play all the games that come out for that system. So I don't have complaints on consoles used for that capacity, but obviously I want to do recording and all that stuff, so it's a lot easier for me. But one thing that I haven't done in a very long time is pirate a game. I have done it previously, and there's not that many games I've actually pirated. Might be on about 4 games that I pirated. Yes, I won't release the names of the games which I pirated, but I have pirated them. And actually every single game that I have pirated, I have now bought, and they are on my Steam library. And I haven't pirated them and then used them to do filming with or anything like that, so you don't have to worry about that. It was about a year before then. So. And it's really getting back to the main point of that, is that on Steam, as you'll know, I love Steam, we have very, very few demos. I mean, just looking at it at the minute, I'll go into the store and I'll read you we'll have a look at the latest demos that have come out. Okay, so we have Beat Buddy, Tale of the something or other. We then have Europa Universals 4 and Saints Row 4 character builder, basically. And if you look overall, there's 476 demos that you can download, and we've got thousands of games. Now the problem is, people with computers, sometimes it's difficult to know exactly whether your system will be able to play it, and therefore how, or even more to the point, how well your computer can play it. And I mean, it's hard enough deciding if you want a game or not just by watching gameplay videos, looking at screenshots. But then to actually know if it's going to run on your system, especially if you have a laptop, which I think is more for the point of that, being able to test it out if you can play. Not so much for people who have desktops or built their own computers, because they're pretty clued up on what will and won't play. And, just the general getting the feel of the game as well. But there's nothing worse than finding a game that you like, especially if you've had it on your Xbox or your PlayStation, and then you want to buy the game on your computer, and all of a sudden you find out that it doesn't work, or it won't play very well. I mean, I had such things on my old computer. There was a couple of games which, not because my system requirements were fine enough, but there was just, there was some conflict with the hardware and the software. And it just meant the games really played really badly. Like worse than, obviously sometimes on PC you get a graphical update from the consoles because you've got more power to put behind it, but it looked absolutely terrible. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I struggle a little bit with, I know I don't do much recording of FIFA, but I struggle with that, but that's because of my hard drive. I know what the problem is with that recording. I need to get an SSD, but I don't have the money at the minute, so I'm counting that out for now. But yeah, so the point I wanted to make is that I can understand why people do pirate games when we don't have enough demos out there for people to be able to try the game and people to be able to, experience it and see if they want it, and see if they actually want to purchase it. Which is why I don't think piracy is going anywhere. There's apparently, I can't remember I can't remember where I read this statistic, but it's around about, I think it was 70 to 80% of people who do pirate a game actually end up going and buying it. And I think that's because people are willing to put money in if they like something. I mean, for example, it's like me with music. If I want to listen to a track, I will YouTube it, of course, because that's the easiest and quickest way to be able to hear the song which has come out. And if I like it, then yeah, I go and buy it. So, I don't pirate any music at all nowadays. The only time I do, it's sort of pirating, is when you just can't get hold of it. And there are certain tracks that you can't get hold of, but normally if they're smaller artists anyway, they generally give away their stuff for free. So there is that side of things as well. I didn't really mean it to go quite as far as talking about piracy, but it was more to do with demos, and I think that the lack of demos definitely does give that effect on the gaming community, especially on PC. I know people will do it for Xbox and PlayStation, but I do honestly think that that's a monetary thing, because obviously the games on PC are generally cheaper by about £10 or so, $15 or so dollars. And of course you can shop around and you can get some really good bargains on PC that you can't actually get on consoles, and that's for obvious reasons. The keys are a lot easier to distribute, and obviously there's bigger hard drives on PlayStation, on computers to be able to download them to, and yeah, it's a lot more digital mediaized now, PC, and I do think that the consoles will go that way. But with having a console when it's purely a gaming machine, I think it's one of those things that you want to have. You want to be able to take around someone else's house. I don't think it's such a big deal for single player games. I think you could easily do single player games just as literally download only titles, perhaps. I mean, obviously I don't want people to think that I'm agreeing with Microsoft's proposal to force people to be online, because I'm not. Just for some people that would be a lot easier, especially with bigger hard drives. I'd rather have them all on my console and just be able to pick which ones I want to play. But I'd prefer something which is done in conjunction with my computer, if that makes sense. So maybe it's a copy for both. It's a copy for your computer and it's a copy for your PlayStation or such. I don't really know. It's something which I think we will see that a lot more, seeing as I don't know if it's rumour, if it's been confirmed, but PlayStation 4 will be getting Steam in one capacity or another. I'm not sure. I think, from my best guess, even though I haven't actually, I should probably look it up. Should probably look it up before I did this podcast. But my guess, they'll be doing the more independent games for Sony, and it will sort of replace their marketplace as such, or it will be integrated into their marketplace, just because you've got you've got Steam that's doing it really well and doing it better than anyone else out there. Why not bring them in? It's great for both parties, and hopefully we will see Steam allowing people to have a game on the PlayStation. If you buy it for the PlayStation, then even if it was just a couple of pound, depending on how expensive the game is, of course, even if it's just a couple of pounds or a couple of dollars just to get it on your PC as well, or just to get it on your PlayStation as well, then I don't think people would have a problem with that. At the end of the day, you can still have one version, one copy of the game that just syncs up between the two, and it just make things a lot nicer for people. I do think. Obviously, there is obviously then the the thing of not having two people on at the same time, so you couldn't lend your Steam account to your friend who only has a PlayStation, and then he could play your games. But I don't really know. I'm sure you could stop that by just having one login, or one login to actually be able to play games on, or something like that. I'm not going to speculate too much on that one. I just thought I would bring that out. I've gone really off topic now about demos, but demos dying out, and I do think it's a shame. I think gaming companies should bring out demos more. And if they are bringing out demos and I'm not aware, then Steam needs to put more up. And I know it's a lot more man hours and probably causes more trouble for them, but I think they'd actually see sales go up. I mean, they might have statistics that proves otherwise that it's not cost effective, but that's what I'd like to see. That's what I'd like to see them doing, and I'd like to see game companies demanding it a bit more as well. For the smaller budget titles, I can understand because some of the more independent games have such low system requirements anyway that it's not really such a big thing, and they have a much smaller price as well. But I think for the AA, AAA titles, there should be, hands down. And I think almost every sort of big game should have a demo, and there's no reason why they can't have it at all. They're all more than capable of limiting you to a certain time limit of play, or limiting you to a single mission. We've seen demos done before anyway, so yeah. That's just my thoughts. If you do have any thoughts on it, please do leave it in the description, because I'd like to know what other people do think about the whole demo situation. I know there's a couple of people who I'm friends with that do agree with me on it, especially some people who only have a laptop, for example, and want to play games, and it can make it a bit difficult, especially when they want to actually buy the game, because if you play a game and you like it, you do want to support it, and that's really what my video was about. Podcast. Anyway, so yeah, leave them in the comments if you do have any topic you want me to discuss next time on my podcast. Then do let me know as always, and I will try my best to. I had the wrong scene on, didn't I? Anyway, I'll try my best to answer the question if you do have it, and talk about it in a little bit of detail. If it's something I don't have much opinion on, then you might be slightly out of luck. But anyway, guys, thank you much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and please do stay tuned for some more. Goodbye.